You've landed in the confidence zone with Susan Axelrod, the confidence coach. This is a place for topics of information and inspiration, a place to support you to find your confidence, get bold, and get going. Activation is needed today at all levels. Don't wait for someone else to lead. Lead now where you are with what you have. Your energy and enthusiasm matters. Believe it or not, it impacts all of us. Find your confidence, get bold, and get going. Hello, friends. Welcome to the Confidence Zone. Today, we're not just going to talk about getting bold and get going, but also aiming high. I am delighted to be hosting a new author for her launch day for this incredible book, which I have read through. It is called Aim High and Bounce Back, a Successful Woman's Guide to Rethinking and Rising Up from Failure, with author Deborah Riegel. Hello, Deborah. Good to see you.
Hi, Susan. Thanks for having me today.
Congratulations
Yay!
on launch day. I know.
Thank you. Thank you. It is, this is actually my 10th book.
Oh, your 10th book.
And launch day never gets old. It never becomes less lovely and exciting. And I'm really happy to be spending it with you.
Yeah, thank you so much. We are in the confidence zone today.
Yeah.
And it's relevant for this book because I want to say, Deborah, I have followed you for quite some time, mostly on LinkedIn. And I know that you show up as the real deal there. When you post I could feel how you're speaking directly to the person you think is reading your post. But still in all, as a person who's quite well known in the industry, dare I say, at the highest level in the industry, I was a bit surprised, but also pleased about your revelation in the book. I speak to a lot of millennials, Deborah, and when I read the revelations of your, growing up in a little bit of privilege like I did, having confidence instilled, and then boom, getting hit with various things and getting taken down a little bit, feeling that failure, I really appreciated that revelation.
Well, I am grateful that you took the time to read it. I think that one of the most important takeaways from the book is that when we don't talk about failure, we instill in ourselves and in others a sense of shame. And once we feel shame, then we don't talk about failure, and it becomes this vicious cycle. And my co-author, Fiona McCauley, and I really want to break that cycle because failure is a normal, natural part of life. It is a necessary step on the path to success, and we need to be talking about it.
We need to be talking about it. I literally just got off as a guest of a podcast myself with a millennial, a younger person. And I said, somehow along the way, men learned that it was okay to fail forward. And women learned that when you failed, you fell.
Yes, absolutely. And it goes to something that we think exists. So we think there's something called a confidence gap, where women are less confident than men. And it turns out in our research, we found that it's not a confidence gap, it's a consequence gap. So, for example, when a company fails, 80% of media stories blame a female CEO, and her gender is mentioned 50% of the time if a company fails. And one of the other things we found is something called the glass cliff. So that when women are promoted to CEO roles, they're typically promoted to CEO roles when a company is already in crisis, meaning they are set up to fail from day one. So it's not that men and women have different levels of confidence. Men and women have different consequences for their failures.
Yes. I mean, one of the things that I loved the most was the research. My gosh. I mean, the research that you guys did that you women did for this book was absolutely stunning. And I thought of every one of those people who responded to your surveys and shared and revealed their own truths that led you and Fiona. I don't know Fiona personally, but, I can only imagine how, you had these responses nuances and the evolution of your understanding and the stories and being like, what's happening here?
Yeah. We surveyed 1,100 women across 60 countries. And I think that it's a nice number, but the number of countries is the thing that really blew us away, so that this doesn't feel like a North American book. I mean, it's written by two North Americans, but we really gathered the experience of women around the world, across industries, across socioeconomic statuses, across, races and religions, to find out what their experience was of failure. And one of the things, I mean, you talk about millennials. One of the things that we found in our research is that our fraught relationship with failure starts when we're girls. So starting at age 6, girls start to learn that they're going to be rewarded for following the rules, and boys are rewarded for taking risks. So it might be the same classroom that we're in, but very, very different futures start when we're age 6. We also know that sports is one of the primary places that people learn to fail and recover and try again and aim high. And 43% of girls abandon sports due to fear of judgment. So they lose the number one place where you learn how to aim high and bounce back. And then the other thing we found is that before age 13, most girls are on social media. And what you learn is that your job is to satisfy other people, that your job is to perform for an audience, and that your job is to show up as perfect. And so when you had said at the beginning that, on LinkedIn, I show up as a real person, that is the highest compliment that I can get, is because I don't want to show up as perfect, because I'm not perfect. I'm a regular person with failures and successes like anyone else.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sorry. I'm cringing a little bit, because when you said that girls so early start to learn to perform and satisfy others, I mean, Deborah, this is the whole story.
This is the whole story.
This is the whole story. And when you say across 60 countries, you're right. Usually we're speaking to our own type,
Yes.
to our own, cohort, to our own selves, to our own color, religion, whatever it is. But yeah, that really, I right away, as soon as I read that, I was very, very struck by that.
Yeah.
I call age 8. You said 6, but like to me it was 6, 7, 8. The age of the super, the power that the girls have, the younger girls have, begins to recede and fade. I work as a coach for women, and I have experienced that many times over with clients. So I know this is the God's honest truth. I wrote down something Fiona said in the introduction, and she wrote, "The irony was inescapable. The very thing I thought would protect me, my obsession with perfection, was destroying me. I was trapped in a hamster wheel of proving myself, working 6.5 days a week because every small setback felt like it could be the end." End quote. And I just want to say, that is what happens starting at a very young age with girls. You come into the perfectionism and high
Absolutely.
expectations.
Yeah, I mean, that was me. I am now a radical anti-perfectionist, but I was a perfectionist all through my school days. And I remember sitting up at night crying in elementary school and junior high school, trying to perfect a paper, trying to make sure I had studied enough to get 100 or an A+ on a test. And I would just be up crying. I could not sleep. I developed a tick in my neck, an anxious tick in my neck, that to this day, I get Botox shots in my neck. I hope you can see how young my neck looks. But I get Botox shots in the back of my neck because this tick that started when I was a kid from being up, anxious, worrying about tests and papers has not gone away. And so I have to freeze the muscles in my neck because I have this repetitive use injury that started probably when I was 9 or 10.
I know what it's like coming from an overachieving family, Deborah.
Yeah.
I know what that's like. And I thank God I was lucky not to develop a tic like that. But what I want to say that you'll experience in reading this book is what I hope and honestly pray will be an understanding that you are in charge of yourself now as the adult you are. Even the title, A Successful Woman's Guide to Rethinking and Rising Up from Failure, and that it is in our control. Dare I say, it would be up to us, the 1,100 women across 60 countries, or you, if you're watching or listening to this, to take charge of yourself. Wouldn't you agree?
I absolutely agree. And it seems like we have three choices available to us. When we fail, we can either internalize it, which is something that women do very frequently, which is I wasn't good enough, I wasn't smart enough, I wasn't capable enough, I wasn't prepared enough. We can externalize it. The world is set up against me. The systems are set up to fail me. Everybody wanted me to fail. Or we have this third option, which is to catalyze. And catalyzing is really what the book is about when we talk about being able to aim high despite a fear of failure and bounce back after we have failed, because failure is a natural step on the path to success.
Yeah, I love constructs. I interviewed Jim Langley yesterday, who's the leading philanthropy guru of today. He had a great construct. I love this: internalize, externalize, catalyze. I'm in the catalyze space, Deborah. But to tell you the truth, when I was in my late 20s, I got married, 25, my late 20s, babies, house, career. I was in a career that I loved. And, for decades of my life, until I had my breakdown when I was in my mid to late 30s, when I had my emotional meltdown that led me, again, which path am I going to take? I took the path then of rising. I made a choice at that time, and many choices since, to support myself, my soul. You don't use really the language of soul language, but you speak the language of soul language. I use the language of soul connection. But basically, you're talking about this connection to yourself.
Yeah.
You can love, you can trust, and you can support, right?
Yeah. And I think so. Thank you for saying that. I think in the third part of our book, the bounce back part of the book, right? Part one is the research that undergirds women's experience. Part two is the aim high part, and part three is the bounce back part. And I'm grateful to hear you use the word soul, because what we want people to understand is that failure can hurt your soul, but it doesn't have to cause permanent damage. And in order for it not to cause permanent damage, there's some work we need to do after we fail to tend to our wounds and repair. We can't just expect ourselves to bounce back automatically. There's soul work we need to do.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I love this so much. I think we're in a similar age bracket.
I'm 54.
54?
Yes.
Okay, I thought you were older from your wisdom that you were sharing.
Good save. Look at all my wisdom.
No, I really had no idea. I'm much older than you, but what that tells me is you've processed, and again, you're going to read this in the book, you've processed and synthesized, integrated, and now you're sharing. That's what I call wisdom gleaned and gained. And that's why, you're actually pretty young to be in this space of success, but you've obviously synthesized, process, synthesized, integrated, and now you're sharing. And that really is what this is about, because even at 54, we are much older than the millennials, who are our future leaders.
Yes, absolutely. And I'll just share, one of the things that I share in the book is I I was an overachiever, completely self-driven and self-motivated. My parents really were, wanted me to take it easier on myself, and I couldn't. And then I became the mom of a daughter where she couldn't take it easy on herself and was an overachiever, to the point of making herself physically ill and wrestling with mental health challenges. And she is a Gen Z, and she and I, my daughter Sophie and I, do a lot of speaking about working across generations. And one of the things that she realizes is that a lot of Gen Z don't know how to fail because everybody got a participation trophy. And so she's now thinking about what does it mean for her generation to learn how to fail well, be willing to struggle with the pain, and we do know that failure feels like social rejection. It at the pain center of our brain absolutely lights up. And then how do you recover from that without losing your identity or your soul, as you put it?
Yeah, and also that failure again, I wanted to connect back up to the word shame.
Yeah.
Because shame is the most dense experience of emotion.
Yeah.
Shame is dense. It's like mud, and
Yeah.
it can pull you down. And it's interesting that you said, I said an overachieving family. You said, well, I was self-driven.
Self-driven.
Yeah, self-driven. That's interesting. I was both overachieving
Yeah.
family and self-driven.
Yeah,
So,
I had a normal family that just wanted me to do what made me happy, and what made me happy was overachieving, and I wasn't able to figure out how to do that in a healthy way until much, much later in life.
I mean, when you said, I remember being in elementary school and middle school, uh, and I remember crying from not being able to do a paper or whatever, getting something right in the way my brain then thought it needed to be right. That went straight to my heart. And the reason I do these conversations in the confidence zone is the same reason. Where does confidence come from? It comes from within, but only if you, in your mature adult mind, okay, a Gen Z mind is like pretty mature. They're adults now,
They are adults now.
They are adults now, taking responsibility for yourself. And that is, with you, right in chapter 1, you titled it Failure, What It Is and Why It Hurts. Like, boom, like we're just calling it out and saying what it is here.
That's right. And I think that goes back to the point of shame, right? We could have called the book, How to Deal with Missteps or Mistakes or Setbacks, but we really mean failure. And failure is a word that is, whispered, that people don't really want to talk about. And, Fiona and I were really clear that if we want to combat the shame associated with failure, we can't call it something cute. We have to call it what it is, which is failure, and everybody experiences failure. And so, and one of our what we call a stake in the ground is that if you think you failed, you failed. We are not here to tell you that's a failure and that isn't a failure. What we joked with one another was, we don't want to make anybody feel like a failure at failing, like, oh, I thought I failed, but they're telling me I didn't. Now, why am I feeling what I'm feeling? If you think you failed, you failed.
I mean, sorry to interrupt.
Go for it. It's your show.
I mean, that's like full stop. That's it. If you think you failed, you failed. Yeah. And, followed by, okay, like, let's go, and it's not, if you think you failed, you're dead.
Right. We are quite clear that is not one of the outcomes. Right. But too often our bodies are trained to register it as an absolute threat to our lives and our livelihood. So I tell the story in the book about 20 some odd years ago, I was the director of education and training for a large nonprofit organization. And I showed up at my office. There was a sticky note, a Post-it note from my boss that just had 2 words. It said, "See me." And in the 7.5 seconds it took me to walk from my office to her office, I had decided see me meant you're fired.
You're fired.
I had already planned the conversation I was going to have with my husband, letting him know that we were down from a 2-income family to a 1-income family. I was already having the conversation with our childcare provider that I would no longer need her since I was going to be at home now indefinitely, right? In 7.5 seconds. And when I got to my boss's office, I had flop sweat. I was just dripping, holding this sticky note saying, "See me." And I said, "What is it? What is it?" And she just wanted to give me a project update. And we ended up making a pact with one another after that, which was that she would no longer leave notes that said, "See me," and I would no longer catastrophize the second anybody indicated in some way that we need to talk.
Yeah, I mean, catastrophize is such a great word. I have a coaching tool called What If Positive. So in that moment, I would have invited you to say the see me post-it. I have my little post, the see me post-it in that moment, like you're going, what if negative? What if I'm going to get fired? And I'm saying, breathe.
Yeah.
Take like 1 second of your 7.5 seconds, breathe, and then say, what if this doesn't mean that? What if she just, what if I'm getting promoted? Et cetera. So
it's the difference between being paranoid and pronoid, right? Pronoid is the belief that people are actively conspiring for good things for you.
Is that a word?
Pronoid. It's the opposite of paranoid. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I learned a new word today. I'm so excited. I love this word. I never heard that. I love this. I just want to say that again, if somebody, I guess also because I follow your career, I'm like, damn, she's succeeded so much. You've done so much in your career. I love how you and Fiona really reveal, share, really like pull back the curtain, which is how I do my confidence coaching. It's like, you can't feel confident if you're pretending. If you have shame, I have a coaching tool called Under the Surface. Most women are like up here over, but under the surface, you're ungrounded, uncentered, feeling shaky, house of cards. That's what imposter syndrome comes from. And also, again, I'm hearkened back. I could hear that in my ears. I feel energy and I hear it like 60 countries.
60 countries.
I know.
We are so not alone. And yet when we experience a failure, it's like our peripheral vision goes black and we absolutely think we're the only one in the world experiencing something like this. And it's 60 countries, 60 countries.
Were there any, I can't remember, were there any age ranges connected to this?
It was a wide range of ages.
Wide range.
Yeah, a wide range of ages.
Because I'll tell you, when I say I'm fierce about supporting millennials and Gen Z, I really am. And these messages are so important. I have several millennial clients I work with, and I can feel them coming up in me, I can feel how high achieving they are to hire a confidence coach to work. They're executive level people, etc. I can feel how important this is. The bounce back part is like bounce back, come forward, like come here. I do a lot of mind-body connection. I practice Qigong and Tai Chi. And I didn't know anything about this when I was in my younger overachieving days. I didn't know. I mocked mind-body connection. Today, I'm certified to teach
everything.
It. Yeah. And that breath, people listening to us, I want people to like tune in here and now, like join us in this little moment, this breath of just asking ourselves, could it be true what they're saying? You know
Yeah.
what I mean? People are
Yeah.
suspect of it.
Yeah, and I will say that I'm just thinking about your what if positive. I think it would take a hard reset of my brain to go to what if positive. My husband Michael calls me the world's most upbeat pessimist. So
Yeah.
my brain is very pessimistic, but what we talk about in the book that would be a nice companion to what if positive is what we call the even if. Even if
Yes.
I am let go.
Yes.
Even if I have a ding on my reputation, even if nobody buys this book, what is still true about me?
Yeah.
And so I want to offer people a couple of tools. I love the one that you put on the table and want to offer for my fellow pessimists the even if tool.
Yeah, even if I love that. I mean, of course, I'm a coach, so I'm working weekly with people,
Yeah,
and I teach the coaching tool. And now I have another one. If I feel they're further
as
back,
do I.
than to be able to say, well, what if it works out for me?
Yes,
What if
yes,
it does? These are mindset shifts. My book
they
that
are. Yes.
right, exactly.
And I would just say that, one of the things that indicates that we talk about in the 3 steps to bouncing back, ground, gather, and go, we talk about that one thing you can do is redefine what failure is and therefore redefine what success is. So you may, for someone, redefining success may be being able to finish an even if statement, right? And actually believe it.
I mean,
So,
talk about overachieving. I'm so on board with what you're saying. Just sometimes in this day and age, Deborah, waking up and being able to get out of bed, finding your breath, being able to get out of bed, standing upright, doing a full body stretch. I mean, by the time you get to coffee, you're like, that's success.
you've had a whole year
I
before
mean, I'm
coffee.
not, I keep it real, the same way. I'm in the mountains every day, to ground
Mm,
in nature. So tell me, we didn't talk about this in advance, but what's going to happen with the book? What are you going to be doing to, other than just selling a book, kind of
yeah.
putting you on the spot a little bit,
No,
but
that's okay.
okay, good. Let's go. Because what are you going to be doing to really get this book and these concepts into the hands of women?
Yeah. So first of all, when you and I are talking today, it is International Women's Month, Women's History Days coming up, International Women's Month. So I'm doing a tremendous amount of speaking this month. So I'm going to be in a few different cities. I'm doing a whole bunch of webinars. I'm speaking to large organizations and small groups of people to talk about aim high and bounce back. I'm also doing a couple of programs coming up for learning leaders on the topic of failure in general. So when we think about a learning leader, so somebody in HR or learning and development, talent development, managers have to recognize what is keeping people from aiming high is often that fear of failure. And you cannot teach people what you are not willing to do and talk about yourself. So helping learning leaders think about how do we actually teach people to set lofty goals and recover if and when failure does happen. So I'm going to be doing a lot of that. And then going on book tour. So my plan is really to be speaking with groups of women, groups of allies, doing training programs. I imagine that by the end of this year, I'll probably have a coaching cohort or two for women who want to explore how they can aim high and bounce back from inevitable failures with real bravery and commitment to making sure that the future looks better than the past. So that's my plan.
Good. Thank you. Thank you for making a plan. Thank you for having a plan. Come on out to Sedona.
Oh, yes,
Let's
please.
yeah, let's do a thing. I own a little place out there, and out here I'm in
Sold.
Flagstaff now, but I have a little bungalow in Sedona. You're welcome to join me. I call it the
Gorgeous.
Sedona Women's Center. I do intimate things there, small group, person to person
Beautiful.
conversation. I want to say that the learning leaders component, and I know we just have another minute, but I want to say this, Deborah. it makes me, it's very hard for me to hear about employers dissing young employees about how unengaged they are. And the energy came into me while I was listening to you. I said, gosh, this is one of the things, if you know what I'm talking about, every employer will diss their young employees. They're lazy, they don't want to work, and all the things. And, I get it. Okay. I understand business ownership, but it came into me, the energy came in like, wow, this is a lot of what's happening with our quote young employees. And I guess you said the generation of the trophy for participation, they're not lazy. They're probably scared of failing in some way. And frankly, as the adults in the room, we're not really helping them. I'm a little fierce on this. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I do. And I would also add, and something that I've learned from my daughter is that when you fail in a publicly curated world, in a cancel culture, you are very, very scared to aim high. Right. So when we think about, I did not grow up with a recording device, in my classroom, other than when the AV wheeled in a television and a tape recorder.
Yeah.
But right. Everybody is walking around with something that can record any failure. And everybody is walking around in a culture that's ready to cancel them for screwing something up. No wonder we see something that can look like a lack of engagement. I don't know if it is a lack of engagement, but something that can look like it, because there's a lot of fear there, and it's understandable.
I want to say, let's get you on your book tour in the fall or summer. I want to have a conversation with you about that point.
Yeah, I'd love it.
I think this is important, and these are our future leaders. I'm thrilled with your daughter being willing to work with her mama. I have 2 daughters. No, they don't care about what I say. They're not listening.
Oh, I don't know that that's true. Even the pessimist in me doesn't believe that that's true.
Yeah. I know they're watching, Deborah. I know they're watching. And my nieces and nephews, I know they're watching. I want to have a conversation about that with you.
I look forward to it.
Yeah, I'm going to let you go now. Where can people buy Aim High and Bounce Back?
So you can buy it on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Target, any place that books are sold. You are welcome to check it out there. We would love to have you in our Aim High Bounce Back community.
Yeah, and don't forget to leave a review when you get the book.
Thank
Deborah,
you. Yes.
I want to wish you the very best. I want to say
you.
Thank you for saying yes to this invitation, and I will be contacting you. I always listen back to my recordings to help my own confidence. How did it go? I'm not judging myself too much.
Yep.
I'm going to listen to our exact words that led me to say, we need to talk about that more, and I'll be contacting you.
I eagerly await it.
Okay, good. Thank you. Wishing you the best. Take good care.
Thank you.